Hey, hi everybody! I hope you're all having a good day. I hope you're all smiling and enjoying your lovely day. So in this following tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you on how to set up poses inside of VNyan. Now before we get started though, I do need to say this first and foremost. If by any chance you're an absolute beginner when it comes to VNyan, please check out my other tutorials, as I have made multiple different tutorials on how to get started with using VNyan and the different functions that you can do with VNyan and all that. So please check out my other tutorials before proceeding with this one, and especially also look up Vtuber's official VNyan tutorials, as that will also help you out as well. And join the Vtuber's Discord server, since there are many different node graphs you can download from the server there, different animation poses, all that other stuff that you would need for your setup basically. So I highly recommend join the server. It's in the description, by the way. With that being said though, pretty much what you see here, this is basically a node graph that consists of 12 different poses. These poses actually came from VRM Posing Desktop program, and I will I want to quickly go over at least the breakdown of this node graph, which is very simple, and then I'm going to show you how to make the poses using the VNyan SDK, and I'll show you basically VRM Posing Desktop method, since that program, a lot of people do use it because it's really convenient for posing, but that program is $10, not, you know, there are people who don't want to pay $10 for a program, or maybe other reasons you don't want to pay for the program, but there is a free alternative, which I will show you on how to do that basically. So paid alternative, paid and then free alternative when it comes to the whole posing stuff, making your own pose from scratch. But with that being said, basically, out of this entire node graph, all you have to do is focus on 4 nodes. So basically, for my case, I use WebSocket, which I have a tutorial on how to use a WebSocket to get your Stream Deck working on VNyan. If by any chance you do not have a Stream Deck, no worries. You can actually use hotkeys as the alternative and just connect it basically like this, for instance. Very simple. So there's that, and then there'll be a clear pose, which is here. So for example, the pose I am right now, I can press my Stream Deck and it'll reset the pose for me. So keep that in mind. And also, as well, I have another WebSocket command here for a different pose, which is this one right here. See? So basically, and then that will be to set pose basically, so it'll look like this basically. And for the most part, you just have to load a JSON file. This only takes JSON file for the posing. Of course, you can actually utilize the play animation and do some poses as well with that too, if you want. Like, let's say there's a Mixamo animation that's basically just a pose, and you want to put that in the VNyan. There's that method, of course. But for me, for my case, I just set it to be poses because it's a little bit more easier. But either way, they're both the same method, honestly. But I just wanted to show you that alternative in case you're interested. But we're going to be focusing on the posing stuff, basically. So, pretty much, though, I'm just going to go ahead and just, like, change my pose. But yeah, pretty much, that's basically the breakdown. And also, you have the blend stuff here. This is basically if the slider is set to 0, that means that part of your bone will be movable. So for my case, when I have the arms outward, I can still move my head because it's set to 0, but the higher the number, the more it will not you know, blend at all. So let's say if I set the spine here to be set to 0, basically it will be very stiff for my pose specifically. But if I actually it's moving, my bad, but yeah, so mine, it will be moving like this, but if it's like this, then it'll be more tilted. Either way, they're both stiff, honestly, but one is basically pose, the other is not. You get my point, I hope. Yeah, so I just put mid, it's just this pose in particular, basically. I just kind of want like a slight tilt, but also kind of have some tracking with it, so yeah. But either way, definitely mess around with those sliders depending on what you prefer. That's pretty much it. And for the most part, if you have a leap motion, make sure that this is checked, leap motion after motion. If by any chance you don't want the leap motion to react with your with the pose, then just uncheck it, and pretty much that's it. Also, there is a smooth millisecond, so depending on the transition speed you want, you can adjust it and such. So yeah, it's done in milliseconds. So either way though, now that we pretty much went over the breakdown of this node, allow me to move over to a VRM Posing Desktop app, and I will show you how to basically get their poses converted for VNyan usage. So we'll do the paid alternative when it comes to posing first, which is the program, and then we're going to, if by any chance you cannot afford the program, I will then show you the free alternative on how you can basically make your own custom poses a lot more easily, which is very simple. So let's get to it. Alright, so here we are on the VRM Posing Desktop, or I'll just call it VRM Posing Program or something like that, just to keep it simple, basically. But here, basically, I have my avatar loaded. It's T-Pose, basically. In case you're wondering how to add an avatar to the program, basically, you're just going to click on Add here, and then you're basically going to just add your VRM file, or if it's a Void Hub model, you can also use that too. But either way, just add your model, basically, and it should be able to load up here, basically. And also, of course, if you want to delete an avatar, just click the trash bin right here, so there'll be a pre-existing avatar, you can just delete that. I do recommend, of course, using your own avatar, you know, in case you have to do some adjustments with the posing to make sure everything looks correct to you. But by any chance you just want to use a generic model, whichever floats your boat. But I would recommend, at best, if the posing is going to be for you, use your own model. But if you want to make a pose that's more universal, you could try just using like a basic Void model, so that way it could be a little bit more, I guess, suitable for everyone. But either way, it still will work regardless. I'm just saying. But basically, though, we can actually go ahead and click on Select Pose here. And the thing about VRM Posing app is that there are many pre-existing poses to choose from, which is actually really awesome. And this is also where I got some of my poses from, actually. For instance, let me see if I can pull one of them. I have this one. So basically, this is the one of the poses that I have on VNyan, basically. You can also, like, basically you could choose whichever pose you want, basically, so it's really awesome. And you can even download other pose data from their workshop, or yeah, pretty much whichever pose you want, you can be able to do that. So let's say, for example, we want to convert this pose here to actually be a VNyan pose, let's say, for instance. So we can do that. Also, by the way, you can actually click on customize pose on the top top left of the app here, and you could be able to customize the posing however you want, even utilize IKs, which is really awesome. So it's kind of like Vroid's posing system, but more advanced, which is awesome. And also kind of like VRM doll play, but also more advanced, basically. So yeah, which is why I love the program a lot. So either way, once you have your pose pretty much ready, though, all you're going to do is you're going to go to the top right, and there's this little box with the arrow pointing upward. You're going to click on that button, and then what you're going to see is there is the export feature. You're going to, now there may be the option that says posing, but that's actually not readable in VNyan. They're both JSON files, but they're both different programs at the same time. So you're going to click on Unity Animation Clip here. And then I'm going to go to File Explorer and basically just name it to Wave, for my case on my File Explorer, basically. And then what we're going to do is, once we have that, we're going to transfer over to Unity. Now, I will say this right now, regarding Unity. You are going to be needing Unity 2020. The version I personally have is 2020.3.22. Which I will leave in the link in description for the exact download in case you don't have that version of Unity. I think any version of Unity 2020 could work with VNyan. I could be wrong. There could be a recommended version. If by any chance there is a recommended version, I will let you guys know on the pinned comment. But from my experience, I'm probably using a different version than what VNyan uses, so it still worked with me regardless. But either way, Unity 2020. But my case is 2020.3.22, and what you're going to also need is to download the VNyan SDK, so that way we can convert the anim file from VRM Posing and convert it to a file that is recognized by VNyan, basically. So you're going to need the SDK, which link in the description. All of this is free. The only exception that's not free is this program, which is $10. And then last but not least, you gotta make sure you have your VRM file ready, because you're gonna have to import your VRM file, which will require the VRM plugin for that. That way, you can load your VRM all in there, because in order for us to be able to convert the pose into VNyan, you need a VRM model, so that way the SDK can read a humanoid skeleton, so it can convert into a JSON file. But either way, sorry for overcomplicating this. This is why I say, if you're an absolute beginner, I don't recommend this tutorial for you. Please, yeah. Either way, though, I'm gonna go ahead and swap over to Unity. Alright, so here we are in Unity, and just to quickly go over once again, this is a Unity 2020 version, and basically what I have the VRM. I have the newest version of VRM set up here, but if by any chance you want to avoid as much issues as possible, I highly recommend VRM 0.89, which link in the description for the download for that. But if you want to be, I mean, honestly, it's really unnecessary to get the newest version of VRM. I just have it because I have it, but I would still recommend just VRM 0.89, basically, just to prevent issues, basically. So basically, besides VRM, you also need to make sure you import your model here, which, if by any chance you have no idea how to import a VRM model, there are other YouTube tutorials that can basically show you how to do that. You can simply just Google how to import VRM model to Unity, and it'll pop up a tutorial for you. So basically, make sure your VRM model there, which for my case, here's my lovely VRM model here that I made. There you go. And pretty much you'll have to have the VNyan SDK. Now, I have the VSF SDK in here as well. It's not necessary. All you really just need is a VNyan SDK, the VRM, and then just importing your VR model into the Unity just so it can work. I just wanted to break down the files just so it makes sense to you, but there's a VNyan SDK, which we're gonna definitely need to get the rotations, basically. So once you have your VRM all set up here, basically, and again, if you are an absolute beginner, do not approach this tutorial. I'm telling you right now, do not approach this tutorial. Please take the time to learn some Unity and learn other VNyan stuff. I'm saying this right now. Okay, but anyways, allow me to continue. So basically, what we're going to do is, for my case, I've set up a folder which has my pose animations here. For what we're going to do is, you're going to find the anim file that you've exported from VRM Posing, and again, after we do this, I'm going to show you how to basically do the free alternative, basically. So basically, for VRM Posing, just go ahead to your file explorer, find the anim file you exported, which mine is down here, and then you're just going to click and drag it and add it to Unity, which mine is right here, the wave. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag it to my avatar right here. I'm going to select my avatar here, and then you're going to go into Windows, you're going to go into the animation, and then animation, or basically just do Control-6, and that will pop up, hopefully it will pop up the tab for you to basically see the animation section. If by any chance you don't see it, again, it will be Windows, and I should have a video edited here, Windows, animation, and then the animation that has the Control-6 sort of hotkey, basically. So there's that. Now, basically what you're going to do is you are going to, and I'm going to have to move my phone a little bit, you're going to have to find the animation, you know, which should pop up here. So for my case, just click on the top of this and then click and find the animation. And again, in case you're wondering why certain stuff ain't showing up on my screen, that's because I have Windows Capture because I don't want to accidentally reveal anything. But anyways, besides that, basically what you're going to do, once you have the wave anim, well, for my case it's wave, it could be a different pose, but whatever pose you have here, the anim file should be right here, and it should be on your avatar. What you're going to then do is you're just going to click on this, move it to the right, and then move it to the left. And this is literally all you're going to do. And then once you have your avatar pose like this, basically, you know, once you see the pose here, all you're going to have to do, click on your avatar, go to the VNyan SDK, which again, I'm going to video edit on the screen because of Windows Capture OBS setup I have. So you're going to go to the VNyan on top of the VNyan SDK on top of your screen, and then basically you're going to click on export bone rotations as a JSON. And then you're going to, for my case, I'm just going to name this wave, and then you're going to save it to wherever you want on your PC. For me personally, I've set it up to be on the VNyan folder, but again, that's up to you. And then I'm just going to export it, and then you'll have a message that says pose export as JSON. That will let you know that everything is working, basically. If by chance it doesn't work out fine, probably you may have the wrong version of Unity, you may have the wrong well, VRM version doesn't even matter, honestly. It's just, maybe something with the avatar, because the avatar does have to be humanoid. And also, the avatar cannot be an FBX file. It has to be a VRM file. That way it can register properly. If it's an FBX and you're trying to make it, into a JSON, pose file for VNyan, that ain't gonna work. Please keep it VRM. So I just want to say that. Now, but that's pretty much it. Now, for basically the free alternative, pretty much all you're gonna have to do, basically, if by any chance you don't have the posing program at all, this is what you gotta do. You're gonna hold the Alt key and then click on the tiny little arrow right next to your avatar here, and you're gonna see all of these bones that your avatar has. Again, my bones are different from yours, most likely. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to press the E button on your keyboard to activate the rotation. And then basically, in case, again, I'm going to say this right now, if you have no idea how to use Unity or navigate Unity, please, again, Google how to use Unity, or at least how to navigate through Unity and all that stuff. I will make sure to have all the resources in the description. Just wanted to remind you that. So basically, you're just going to rotate your bones however you want, basically. So, you know, like this. I'm going to go ahead and quickly make my arms downward. So basically, if you don't have the program, just pose it manually here on Unity. It's actually, I mean, depending on the model, it can be a little tedious. But this is honestly one of the best ways you can do it, basically. It saves you time, and it's not, it shouldn't be too much of a headache. But again, if you really want to have the sort of Vroid posing like setup, I would recommend just get the VRM posing program. Link in the description. It's $10. You can get it on Steam. That way you can utilize the IKs and have better posing and all that. But again, this is the free method to making the poses. So that's pretty much all you're gonna do. And then when you're done posing your avatar, basically, again, VNyan SDK, export bone rotations as JSON, and then you are pretty much done from there. And again, the avatar does not need to T-pose or anything like that. This is sort of like an avatar, like a throwaway avatar, I guess. I don't know, just something. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and yeet away this Kana, and we're gonna get back into VNyan and get our new pose set up. Okay, so now we're back in VNyan. Let's go ahead and load up our new pose, basically. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into the node graph right here. And then you can click on add new graph here, and basically what you're going to do is you're going to add a hotkey node right here, hotkey. And then you're going to right click it and you're going to duplicate it, because we need one hotkey for the clear pose and then the other one for the pose itself. And what you're going to do, you're going to go into action node, scroll not too much, scroll down, and then you're going to click on clear pose and set that to be the first one right here, like that. Then you're going to go into, click on this one for set pose node, click and drag, and then connect it, click and drag. Simple. Then what you're going to do is you're going to click on the load button right here, and then I'm going to go ahead and load the JSON file that we just made. And then what we're going to do is, of course, set up your hotkeys here, like so. This is an example. Again, it depends on what you're comfortable with. And then basically what we're going to do, for my case, I'm going to go ahead and quickly clear my pose. And basically what we're going to do, in order to get the wave file, the wave to work, depending on the pose that you set up, you're probably going to have to adjust the sliders here. For the most part, I would usually have it where the head, neck, and spine would be at 0, but it depends. Sometimes it may have to be half. Really depends on the pose. But basically, I'll be able to press the 2 button, and there'll be a pose here. If by any chance you feel like the movement is, I guess, too stiff for you, basically I want to move up and down, basically, go ahead and disable, basically set to 0 for the hip, the root, and then the leg movements. And then press the number again, so that way you can have this basically. Wah! So yeah, there you go, you got your arm poses, but again, if you want to have the leg poses there, then I would recommend setting basically the values here to be 1. Now I will also say this too, by the way. This is just something, this is just Unity being a derp when it comes to merging animations. But basically, so if you, let's say, want to have that sort of bouncy movement, right? And you set it where the hip and the position will be set to 0. You will notice how I'm bouncy like this, but the legs don't move like this, basically. That's just, like, even if I set it to here, like, it could still kind of, like, have some bendiness to the leg, but do notice how it's sort of floaty like. Yeah, that's just Unity's fault. That's not really a VNyan issue, that's just Unity being Unity. But that could also just be a fault of just 3D in general, honestly. You can only do so much. So yeah, keep that in mind, that you can't go too crazy when it comes to the stuff, basically. But again, I would just recommend just set the leg to 0 if you want that bouncy movement along with the hips. But if you really want to keep the leg movement, if you don't like the bouncy movement, then just set them all to 1. And then you can basically have this pose, basically. Wow. And again, this also works with leap motion, and then you can set the time to wherever the heck you want, basically. So, yeah. And do keep in mind, too, I will mention this as well. If by any chance you have downloaded Heavy's node graph for the arm sway, basically, whether it's the arm sway or the drawing sway that Heavy, which is in the Vtuber's Discord server, you can download it from, and I also have a tutorial on how to sort of set it up. Basically, do keep in mind, if I were to, let's say, I do the pose right now, right? Which I don't know what the heck is going on with the pose right now. Okay, hold on a moment. There you go. Yeah, that does do be like that. But anyways, I have my pose here, right? And then I would enable the arm sway. You see how the arm sway basically takes over my arms, basically? That's just because that's 3D. But even then, it's not just because 3D, but it's also... Live 2D does the same thing too, where you cannot animate the physics. I've even mentioned this so many times, even on my other tutorial. When it comes to 3D physics, no matter the engine, you cannot animate the physics. Now, the only pure way to animate physics, if you really want to, is proxy bones. But even then, though, I would not recommend doing the whole proxy bone stuff with the arm sway and all that other stuff. I would just keep it simple, just have a toggle for the arm sway. You know, a hotkey for it, very simple. When you download Heavy's node graph for the arm sway, it will have an option to set up a hotkey, so it's all good basically. But if you don't mind this, I mean, that's your choice, but I just wanted to mention that in case you're wondering. They cannot mix. You cannot animate physics, and the arm sway treats the arms like as if they're spring bones, but different. So yeah. And that should be about it, though. I guess I can mention this kind of lightly. When it comes to the leap motion, by the way, you will notice how on the leap motion button here, if the leap motion button is set to 0, you can see how my arm or my hands are like spread out basically as they should be, but if I were to enable it, it's more curled up basically. Yeah, that's just something, that's just the way VNyan has the leap motion thing. I don't really have an exact answer for that, but I'm just going to say that's a leap motion thing, basically. So if you really want to make sure your hands are accurate, basically, like very, very accurate, again, I would just recommend disabling the leap motion option here. Like the leap motion option here, basically. Otherwise, if by any chance that doesn't work out for you, then just disable the leap motion option here. But for me, I'm quite fine with this. It doesn't really matter to me. But again, that's just your personal taste. I just wanted to let you know in case you are asking about that. So yeah. But overall though, I hope that should be pretty much it when it comes to the whole posing setup and how to make your own poses and all that. And I hope I was as descriptive as possible when it comes to VRM posing, as well as also even for free basically, which is pretty simple, but I have to be very descriptive. I just want to make sure that every little knowledge is engraved in your brains. But either way though, I hope you guys have a lovely day though, and if you guys have any other questions regarding VNyan, you are free to ask here, but I would recommend please join Vtuber's Discord server. I will make sure it's in the comments. Yeah, I can actually go ahead and put it in the pinned comments for anyone who wants to join, as well as also the description. The description will have all the resources you need, the Unity version I have, the SDK thing where you can get VNyan, and where you can get the posing program and all that. All the resources will be down in the description, and I'll leave my socials here in case you want to ask me for any other 3D help basically. But with that being said though, if you have any other recommendations on any other VNyan tutorial I can make, feel free to ask away. I'd be happy to try my best to make it. But again, I would recommend join the Vtuber Cookie Hideout Discord server. You will learn so much more about VNyan. It's amazing there. But either way though, I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I will see you guys next time. Heike, sayonara everyone. I hope to see you guys next time, okay? Bye bye!